Hi, and welcome to Mind Your Health. Dr. David Burke, it is great to see
Thank
you.
you.
I would like to introduce you to someone that you've known.
I used to work in inpatient in the most acute level of care, right? Detox and stabilization, right? And what I very quickly learned as a counselor is that if you address the underlying issues first, you've basically ripped off a Band-Aid without any way for it to heal. We need to make sure that we have done two things. One, we've stabilized and given some really basic coping skills, and two, we've done some education.
Mind your health.
Got to mind your health.
Mind your health.
Treat yourself. You got to mind your health.
No, thanks.
Nathan, Shepard, Reagan Daly, they are with Southern
Welcome.
Sky Recovery. This young man is an entrepreneur and a builder of things that help people. And you come right with him side by side, developing business and spreading the word. So thank you both. Can you all share what Southern Sky Recovery is and really what you do and why it's so important in today's climate?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having us. This is an awesome opportunity. Anytime we get a chance to not only talk about Southern Sky, but create awareness of resources is a great opportunity. I love the way you describe that because me and Reagan are always super side by side.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who works for who.
That's like you and I
Depends
together.
on the
But,
day.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I believe that.
More days than not, I get my marching orders from
Right.
Reagan. But I digress. So Southern Sky Recovery is a community-based full-scale substance use outpatient center. And so what that means is we provide multiple levels of care in a dual diagnosis setting for different types of substance use and mental health issues. Our levels of care are PHP, IOP, OP, and normally when I say that, that's just letters, and people are like, I have no clue what
Right.
you just
That's what we
said.
just said yesterday.
So PHP is partial hospitalization, and that's going to be 5 days a week for 6 hours a day. IOP is 3 days a week for 3 hours a day. OP is just a couple hours a week. And normally we like to see it in that continuum. And when we see people do the full continuum,
They get better.
yeah, I always like to say when I'm speaking with our clients, we want to get this right the first time. Let's do this one time and one time only. And by the numbers, by the metrics that we follow, when we see people do that full continuum, the chance of us ever seeing them again in respect to relapse is very slim. We have homecoming and we have things like that. And we love to see them annually. We stay in touch through, text messages and our text message program and things like that.
Yeah.
But the full continuum is really what we like to see. We also don't just serve the community, but we also have a boarded program. So we have a men's recovery house and a women's recovery house, because as you can imagine, through substance use, quite often resources are exhausted and other things. So giving people a safe and trusting place to rebuild their lives is really needed a lot of the time also.
I just want to kind of talk basics if we can. What is substance use? How does it differ from substance abuse? And what the heck is substance dependence? And when do we come to see you?
I want to let Nathan tackle that one.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's all the same. I like to say that you show me someone with a substance dependence, I'll show you someone with trauma. And so what that means is it's speaking for adults, someone usually finds a dependence on a substance to fill a void in their life, or it's a lack of a coping mechanism. And so it's really important when we're talking about it. Words can confuse the issue, right?
100%.
And whether it's alcohol, whether it's an amphetamine, whether it's a opioid, quite frankly, they're all doing the same thing, and it's filling some sort of void or lack of coping skill or coping mechanism.
I'll even go further. I'll say shopping, pornography, pizza.
100%.
So, I mean, all of these things.
Yeah, and that's part of our curriculum, right? It's not about let's just remove the substance. Let's talk about how are we going to fill that with healthy things,
Right.
and not transition into something that is just going to exacerbate the issue. So I mean, it's a really good point. And I think it's also important to understand that that pathway, this is a really foundational concept for Southern Sky, is that pathway is very different on a case by case basis. Just
Yeah.
because I got sober through AA and the 12 steps that doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to work for everybody. It's really important that we lay out as many tools as possible for each client that comes to our doors and give them the autonomy to say, this is what I gravitate towards. Because when you do it that way, when you give them the autonomy, they get to make it part of their identity, and it becomes part of them rather than us force feeding a certain route and then it's not their story.
Well, and I was going to say that's sort of the shift in the whole field of substance use and abuse and what you all do. What are some of the other things you have? Women and men in your
We
program.
do.
Talk a little bit about what a typical program would look like in general.
In general, and Nathan said it best that we present a ton
Oh,
of
I'm
different
sorry. Really good.
options
Mhm.
where people can figure out what is their pathway to recovery. What does that look like? So maybe that's 12-step groups. Maybe it's just community that they find through groups. Maybe it's the relationship they build with their therapist. But typical programming can look very different dependent upon what path people choose. But overall, they are with us all day long. They'll start out in PHP, which is our highest level of care. So they're with us from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they're doing that Monday through Friday. And then they're also meeting with their individual therapist once a week. We have medical providers, PAs that they meet with also to make sure that there's no, or if there's any medication changes that are needed. And then we also have a wonderful family and continuing care group that we do in the evenings so that people can join from Zoom. And so our loved ones or the loved ones are getting the care they need.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
what's so interesting as you guys are talking is um, group, being a group, finding a tribe and a community is huge. Says no one ever when they first walk in the door,
Yeah.
no, I don't want that. But can you all speak to the power of just group? And because I think that's so transitional, what's the right word? Transformative for people.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think with group, and I get lucky enough where they let me lead a group every once in a while. And my group topic is, life after rehab. What does that look like? Because it's wonderful when you have all this support around you and you have a therapist and you have all these friends that you've made. But
Then you got to go home.
then you
and-
got to go home, and that's where the rubber meets the road,
Right.
right? So, I mean, my experience working in group is that, it's kind of magical to watch one person share about what they're struggling with, and then another person has the courage to speak up and talk about their experience with the same thing, and either, you know, find community in that or offer support or suggestions of like kind of what helped them navigate those challenges.
Wait, you mean I'm not the only one who had that experience?
Isn't that wild?
Right?
I know.
What?
Well, me, I've never had that experience.
Yeah,
perish the fire.
Getting people away from isolation, I think, keeps us sick, right? No matter what you're dealing with in life. Like, if you find someone that's struggling with mental health or substance use, it's only going to get darker when they get more isolated. And I think in all, group provides that healing for them. And so they start to connect and it doesn't get as scary anymore. So
What
So, sorry,
yeah.
I want to follow that up too. So, case in point, I've been doing a lot of research on the opioid use during the pandemic,
Yeah.
He is a pharmacist.
and the
Okay.
rates went through the roof.
Of course.
right.
And exactly to your point, they weren't working. They were sitting home. There's nothing to do. They were just worried about all that's going around them, and rates just went.
Numb, avoid,
skyrocketed.
escape.
Correct.
And don't you think most of these things start out as adaptable? They're I'm going to have a cocktail because I can relax, take the edge off. I'm just going to take a Xan to get some sleep tonight. And then before you know it, that it's become maladaptive. It's completely flipped on its head.
Yeah, and I would for the pandemic, I think, a lot of us had like our normal bottoms of like on a bad day where we would be. And I think that the pandemic just pushed so many of us to find a new low, right? And the coping mechanisms we use day to day didn't work. And so people turned to things to kind of dull that, right? Whether they were dulling the boredom or dulling their struggles. So alcohol, opioids, I know that you opened Southern Sky in 2022.
Right after COVID.
I
Right
can't believe
after.
it was 2022. Wow.
Right
Yeah.
after COVID, yeah. Yeah, I felt like I had a hole in my head because I feel like we were still in the remnants of it. And so
Yeah.
to open up any business, right, in the remnants of COVID, it wasn't really reassuring, but I felt like, being a native here, growing up here, also being someone in recovery myself, the writing was on the wall of the lack of resources. So that was kind of reinforcing on the whole
Right.
thing. But we got a lot of that early on of, just like you said, people coming from no issues with substance use whatsoever, and then COVID came, and there it is. And it really, like you said, also it I think it snuck up on people before they realized it. And
Absolutely.
it goes to education, right? Like it's about what are we doing to be proactive to educate people on what the signs are ahead of time.
Well, and don't you think that for so long, and even now to an extent, I'm so embarrassed to tell you that I have,
Mhm.
6 cocktails a night, or what's wrong with me? Am
Yeah.
I flawed? Am I damaged? Am I broken?
Most common emotion or feeling in the early stages of recovery are shame and guilt,
Yeah.
hands down,
Yes, exactly.
without a doubt.
What do you think? What finally brings someone? I always say this: you don't have to hit rock bottom to get treatment anymore,
Mhm.
and that comes with education. You
Mhm.
just don't have to.
Yeah.
And yet, oftentimes, that's what happens, whatever
Sure.
that looks like
Mhm.
for people.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to put a definition on rock bottom, I like to look at it as a difference between someone had their hand forced or not. So rock
Okay,
bottom,
there you go.
yeah, I think rock bottom would be I had an ER visit, and a doctor's telling me that my liver can't take another drink. I went to jail, and the judge told me if I get another DUI, I'm looking at prison time.
Yeah.
I've been kicked out of my home, and my wife said if I don't get help right away, I'm not gonna be allowed back in the home. Those are rock bottoms. To your point, though,
But is somebody going to get better with those kinds of ultimatums? Because based on my experience, they're like, yeah, I'm just going to go down to downtown Savannah one
Mhm.
more time to get that one more little
Mhm.
package of goodies.
I think it goes back to my point of everybody's recovery is different.
Okay, fine.
I think
Fine.
I mean, I'll tell you, I've had clients come in off of just a couple bad, under the influence arguments with their spouse, and they say I can't do this again, and they've had one complete level of treatment with us, and we've
Boom.
heard nothing but positive responses from them ever since then.
Mm.
Others, unfortunately, relapse is part of people's story, often. And I really think it comes back to levels of motivation, levels of education, um, and uh, and how effective we are at meeting every client that comes in the door halfway.
Mm. One of the things I wanted to get back to is you said about trauma, that trauma drives a lot of these choices.
Sure.
We've had a lot of trauma talk today.
Yeah, we have. So how so Joe Jones walks in and said, I got issues. I want to be clear with all this. Do you attack trauma first?
Mhm.
Do you attack, all right, now let's say it's alcohol.
I love this
You're-
question.
you're-
I
you're
know, this is the
guaran-
best. I
getting
know,
so
I'm dying.
excited.
I
I'm
know.
getting so excited.
Oh,
right
good,
now.
guaranteed, because I can keep you. I can stop you from drinking. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you're gonna be here all day,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have anything.
Yeah,
and
sure.
the spouse or whatever is getting rid of every drop in the house.
Yeah.
So now what? If I'm gonna recover,
Yeah.
I got this trauma here.
Yeah.
Does it always need to be fixed? Is that job number one? Because if
Yeah.
you take care of this goes away, or do
Yeah.
you like, all right, let's get rid of these choices here, and then slowly kind of work.
We're gonna go with the latter. So,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave the trauma over here for a little bit, and let me
All
tell you why. I used to work in inpatient in the most acute level of care, right? Detox and stabilization, right? And what I very quickly learned as a counselor is that if you address the underlying issues first, you've basically ripped off a band-aid without any way for it to heal. And what is
Mhm.
important, and this is where PHP comes into play, is we need to make sure that we have done two things. One, we've stabilized and given some really basic coping skills, and two, we've done some education. Because if you haven't educated a client or patient, and then you just start digging into all the underlying stuff, you're really taking them into a space where they're not ready for it.
Gotcha.
One of the therapies we use is EMDR,
Yeah, me too.
which is eye
That's
movement
the-
therapy.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I
and
love it.
one of the main principles of EMDR is not getting into it too soon, because what happens is you are trauma is based off of experiences and our lenses on life, right? And based off those experiences, they can be very jarring and jolting and destabilizing, perfect word, and you can create more harm than help. And so with EMDR, if you don't get them to a place where they can say on their own, I'm ready to talk about this and I feel like I can handle it, I feel like I'm in a comfortable and safe space to process these things, you could be causing more harm than good.
And remember what trauma really is and what the goal of trauma therapy is. Trauma therapy, the goal is to change your relationship with the trauma. I can't get rid of the trauma. It's not going anywhere, ever. So if I can change my relationship with it, it makes me, now I don't have to drink, or now I don't have to have these horrible flashbacks because I can change my emotional relationship.
Yeah. And I think the first step in that, when we do get to a place where we can start dipping into the trauma and understanding it, is understanding how this experience in my life affects the way, one, how I see the world, and two, how I react to the world.
Correct.
When I can start understanding that when A happened, I now treat the people around me in B, that's the first step, right? Because once I can understand the way I react to the world, then I can see about how I change my behaviors and what I am in control of. Because I think most trauma is about a situation that happened where we were taken out of control of a situation.
100%.
And so how do we get back in control of our lives? How do we get back in control of our coping mechanisms and the way we treat people around us? Is really getting into the root cause of
And
it.
going back to trauma is different for every single person.
100%.
Okay. It is anything that negatively impacts the way that I view the world and that causes these kind of emotional reactions. He'll get this. Hold on. It's
Sorry, there's a chance to translate.
one moment. It's imagine a light. Yep. It's the green, we're good and groovy.
Oh, that light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red or orange, yellow. Okay. It's like orange, red. That's where the trauma is. Okay. And I mean, if we're talking to little kids, what are you feeling?
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is. So when you get orangey, yellow, orangey, reddy, we got some trauma signals and we got to do something about it.
Absolutely.
You
How-
like doing that, don't you?
Yeah.
The trauma
How
stuff's
do most people come to you and say, have they like, the judge told me,
Let me answer
Well,
that.
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
lot
All
of
right,
it.
no, look at
that's a
Reagan's
real
like,
help.
one
I-
more time.
yeah.
Before she gets into this, I do want to say one of the things that I've found through getting Southern Sky off the ground is there are so many different ways that people have
Okay.
found us. But with that, I'll let you say that.
I mean, that's what I do all day long. From
Okay.
the moment I open my eyes to
Yes,
the
you
evening,
do.
I am on the phone with
Yes, you do.
people, trying to either get them plugged in with us or get them plugged in with something that's appropriate to their needs.
Okay.
And
But-
Sunday at 3 in the afternoon.
Anytime
Sunday
you're
at
going to go on a
9.
trip, or
Yeah.
anytime you've got something, that's when the phone is really going to ring.
right.
So, but it's just part of it, right? And there's no greater satisfaction than, making sure and seeing when they get to where they need to be, or when you actually get to see if they're coming to us and you see them, 6 months down the road and that light is back on in their eyes. But, sometimes people really just don't know what's going on. It's like they don't know, they're just not content. Their life's not where they think it should be. And they can say, yeah, I'm drinking every day. It's just a couple glasses, but I went through a divorce or whatever. So they haven't identified exactly what it is that's causing them to not be at their best, but they want to do something different about it. Sometimes we do see those folks that have a lot of consequences, like they've met the judge or they've been required, and consequences can be great motivators, but people, most of them might say that, or might realize they have a problem with a substance, but sometimes they just don't know. And so we have a conversation about what that looks like and then what's next for them. And it's funny, we just put up a billboard a couple weeks ago that says, hope lives here. And we want people to really know that, like, no matter what they're struggling with, when they call us, we're ready to help them find the solution. And that might be any number of things, but that's where we come in.
Yeah, and our having a robust network is important, right? Because Southern Sky, we have the obligation to have the humility to say something's out of our wheelhouse. So it's great to be a lighthouse as much as it is a provider, because
Yeah.
working with Debbie and other providers in the area, making sure that if there is something that is not directly related to our services, we maintain really great professional relationships in the community to make sure we can help someone find where they do need to
Yeah,
go.
it's important. If I can't help you, I know somebody who can.
Yeah.
It
So
is
I get that.
unbelievable because it allows the providers, we don't have to be the experts in every single area. We can just call and find the experts. It's so collaborative. Oh my gosh.
And another thing I want to say, because this is a really important point, it's just as important as how people arrive at us, it's how we receive them.
Mm.
And it's
Well said.
making sure that a couple things we do. The person who answers the phone on our admissions team, they're going to carry you through all the way to admission because it's a process. We go through a 30-minute pre-screen. We make sure we get a full bio.
Oh yeah.
We understand what's going on to make sure we're a good fit. And so that requires someone to get a little vulnerable. So everyone on our staff is trained in peer recovery support training. Most identifies people in recovery. Actually, all of them do.
Yeah.
Everyone in admissions identifies someone in recovery. So it's a big deal for someone, again, when they're in that primary shame and guilt part of their recovery to call and talk to someone else who's been through it. Number one. Two, says we're going to walk through this together front to back. You're not going to get 4 or 5 different people walking through the process, and really help them drop their shoulders a little bit and let them know, look, we're here with you from the very beginning. And it's really important because I think how you receive people in a very vulnerable time has a big impact on the success of the treatment.
Do you think that there's more of a need for counseling and abuse issues now than before? Because we seem to be, as a society, becoming more and more isolated. If we're not on our phones, we're not sitting on the front porches anymore. We're not, the families are smaller. We're just spending more time alone. Do you think that's part of the problem?
100%. I think it's as we continue to, through research, better understand how the mind works, how we respond to traumas and stimuli, how we understand what's healthy and not healthy for us. It puts a stronger emphasis on education, being proactive, and efficient care. The other thing, though, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of things that are creating isolation in society that is just not healthy.
AI, chat.
Yeah,
Chat as my counselor.
yeah, that's don't do that. don't do that.
I gotta block that.
I mean, AI is a great tool. I use it all the time, but don't use it in lieu of human connection. Human
No,
connection is a
don't.
really important piece of mental health. So it's a great question.
I mean, I think this whole topic is really interesting because you sit down and you think you're going to talk about substance abuse and treatment, and you end up talking about the population as a whole. I mean, all of us fit into. I mean, isn't dependence a bad habit? It's something that starts, and then a habit, and then.
The last thing I had was, I do call you up, and I come in now. I have health insurance or Blue Cross. Is that, or do do you take insurance? Is it
question.
cash? Is it?
So we are
Wash dishes in the kitchen.
yeah. We are in network with pretty much all the commercial insurances, which
So they
is
do, okay.
huge.
Yeah, I don't know
because-
one that we're not. If you
Okay.
find one that we're not networked with, let me know because I hunt
yeah.
that down very
Yeah,
fast.
exactly. Yes, he will. And
Alright.
here's the interesting part. The thing that about you all, and I think other people too, is you will help work that. Don't feel as because you're overwhelmed
Yeah.
enough.
Right.
Let them do their job. They're really good at it.
Yeah. And we can connect people with resources.
Yeah.
To see
You
if they
have.
qualify
Yeah.
to obtain
finances shouldn't be a
insurance.
barrier. Don't just
Never. We never want that to be a barrier.
good.
So
That's
our
great.
last question that we're sort of into now, our mind your health
She's into
question. I'm always into it. He's like, whatever. But a prescription that you would give our audience from a mind your health point of view, maybe a habit that you do or something that has been helpful for you along your journey that you would like to
Share it with the world.
share.
That's a good
Share
one.
with the world.
I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, you need time to think about it.
No, I can roll with it, but I want to hear yours.
So I think through my journey in recovery personally, I've become a huge fan of you surround yourself with positive people, positive things happen. And I've successfully done that in my marriage. I'm very fortunate to have a very supporting wife who has an amazing outlook on life.
She's adorable.
I do that
She
with
really
my leadership team. I'm super blessed to have the leadership team I have with Reagan, Dr. Moroccan, our clinical director, Kevin and Lindsay, the amount of passion that's poured in on a daily basis is super positive, and it lifts me as a professional. And just my friends and family, right? Even with family, sometimes you have to pick out the ones that may not be so positive sometimes, unfortunately. And we all still love them as our family, right? But, you know, I really think that positivity resonates with us on a daily basis. That and a really good workout routine are my two big things.
And then I want to get you to your second, but exactly to your point, as an employer, you know, I have a small group
Right.
that I work very, very closely, physically in
Yeah.
contact with,
Yeah.
and had to get rid of somebody, he's a long-time employee,
Yeah.
but they were toxic to the
Yeah.
entire organization.
100%.
Nothing was right.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, look, I get we have issues.
Yeah.
Let's try to fix them instead of just the whammy. If you're not, in the old adage, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, it's been interesting for Southern Sky because me as a of an owner of a business, it's been a big growth piece for me. As you can understand, as
Oh,
business owners, you know,
yes.
that's learning how to navigate people is a challenge. What I've come to really appreciate in our culture at Southern Sky is through our positive culture, the toxic people really work themselves out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
Oh,
get
okay.
the ones that you know, I'm not a perfect judge of character. I like to think I'm pretty good, but I'm not the best.
Okay.
And we may hire someone sometimes that we thought was a good fit and it's not, just like any other organization. And because of the rest of the team as a whole is just so positive, I think the ones that aren't as positive,
You're like,
it shows itself really quick and
I
it works
know.
itself out.
Yeah.
Which turns into a better result for our clients.
Yeah,
oh, that's
well,
great.
the one I had didn't work herself out. I had to work her towards the door.
Yeah.
But it was the whole organization was able to, you know,
Yeah.
because it's just toxic.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Reagan.
Last tidbit.
I mean, I kind of have two as well. But my main one, and I mean, Nathan can attest to this, that discipline is big for me. I am like clockwork with my scheduling
much
and my
so.
calendar. And I mean, I just think there's something special about, you know, knowing that no matter where you're getting up at this time and you're going to do these things, and no matter how hard your day is, you're still going to go for a run at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter how hot it is, but there's something about just continuing to show up despite everything. And like, I don't know, mastering your emotional weaknesses that kind of helps you to be, maybe, I don't want to say bulletproof, but definitely like show up every day stronger and ready to face the day. And I'm a big, big, big champion of physical health and wellness and working out. There's really not much that can happen in a day that a run in 90-degree weather can't fix.
Yeah.
You
Sweat it
sweat
out.
out every single
Sweat
day.
it out.
You leave the day on the road. So those are my two.
Great.
Thank you all for helping us
Yes.
mind your health.
Mind your health. To mind your health. Treat yourself.